everybody, with Friday the 13th just hours away, and with Horrorfest only about 29 days away, just less than a month, thought we'd do a little Horrorfest preview. A couple years ago, I showed all of the movies that I have recorded from Horrorfest starting back in 2015. The origins of Horrorfest go all the way back to the early 2000s, renting the movie The Amityville Horror, 1979, with a brother and a friend, and I was unfamiliar with horror movies at all at that point. And then we, during close to Halloween, or the October 20 something, on a chilly evening, rented it from a video store, watched it, and the atmosphere of it, something stuck with me, which I later would kind of go to and kind of revisit and want that feeling again, and that would be mostly with the Friday the 13th series. And so Horrorfest itself started around, I think, 2008, 2009, somewhere in there. But the first time I remember coining it Horrorfest was around 2010, I believe. I remember talking about it with like Kayla, and it wasn't like a 16 nights to rock back then. It was more like maybe a week of kind of spaced out movies, week, 10 days, kind of the same movies, and then it grew into something bigger. And so in 2015, that was the first year that we recorded all of the movies watched for that Horrorfest. So this year marks the 10-year anniversary. This will be the 10th year of recording all the horror films watched for Horrorfest. And so I've talked about the decade. I think last year I did a thing on decades, like the one that has the most watched for decades. In 1980s, I think, was the first one. 1970s was the second, and so forth. It went down to like, I think 1990s was the very least, even lesser than 2020s. Okay, I think it was the one that Jordan recommended in 1994, Wes Craven's New Nightmare. At that time, was the only 1990s horror film watched. Tonight, we're going to talk about Horrorfest history, films that I've seen during Horrorfest, starting in 2015, the first recorded year, that have been seen multiple times. All right? So the first one, the one with the most views, with 9 altogether, this means every single Horrorfest recorded, this is the only movie that has been watched each time. It's the Slumber Party Massacre. I'll put slumber. It's the Slumber Party Massacre, 1982. Okay, and then there's 2 that have 8 views. The first one is The Devil Walks at Midnight, 1971. There was 1 year, 2019, that was not viewed during Horrorfest, and I think it was carried into January. Splatter University is the other one, another favorite. I can't explain why this wasn't watched 1 year. I don't remember this, but it was just omitted 1 year. I can almost guarantee you that this one will be viewed in 2024. So these 2 have 8. None with 7, and then one with 6 views is Island of the Doomed, 1967, Cameron Mitchell. This one was discovered in 2018, and it's been watched every year starting in 2018 up until now. It's an instant classic. It will be watched this year. One of those, these 2 are a little similar in terms of being foreign movies, a little bit of voiceover stuff in there, haunted castle type atmospheres, really well done. There's only one with 4, and that's Bog at 1979. I'm a little surprised that Bog is it has been watched that many times. It's been, I think, it's pretty much abandoned for Horrorfest in recent years, but it was just one that I like to go to. Now, Bog was just viewed back in just last month in August, so it's doubtful it will come this year, but it could. It's definitely on the table. But I will tell you right now off the bat that these 4 are almost definite for 2024. Drive-In Massacre. So these are the ones with 3. There are 7 films that I've seen 3 times during the history of Horrorfest. Drive-In Massacre, 1976. So this one, Bruce Kimball is in this one, but this is one that's really fits the kind of that October feel and cheap horror, and it's one it's kind of fallen off in recent years, and I think this year you might be seeing it again. All right, next one is another one with 3. I Was a Teenage Werewolf, 1957. This is the most viewed Mystery Science Theater 3000 one. Whit Bissell, Michael Landon is in this. Barney Phillips does great as a cop. So this is really good. I Was a Teenage Werewolf. It's just fun. It's kind of an easy view, but I don't know, may go back to it. And then another one with 3 is 1983's Scream Time, one of those trilogy films. It was brought back last year after a long hiatus. I think it was first seen in 2016. But this one has origins going back to like the video store and watching it in the kind of the early phases of Horrorfest, like 2008 to 2010 period. Really liking this one. It was one that I bought from the video store. Really like this one. The next one is The Demon, 1981. I always thought this one would be a film that would be in almost every Horrorfest, but it kind of fell off, and it's kind of fallen off in general. It's got a great atmosphere, another great Cameron Mitchell film, but again, maybe it'll come back this year. It's been a little while since it's been in Horrorfest. All right. Another one with 3 is another one that has really just fallen out of Horrorfest altogether, and that's The Return of the Living Dead, 1984. That's some prints say 85. I think most of them say 85, but my VHS is copyright 84. This one is good for Horrorfest if you want to watch it, especially if you want to follow up Night of the Living Dead, 1968, which I've only seen one time for Horrorfest. That's not enough. So it's a good one to follow up. But personally, I just think it's better for that July 3rd time, since that's when the movie takes place. So, but it's been seen 3 times, and then a couple more that have been seen 3 times. One that has not been seen enough: The Gates of Hell, 1980, Christopher George. Now this one has that foreign feel to Italian, excellent music, a lot of real gory stuff, a lot of blood in it, and a lot of real devil type possession, weird stuff. Well, not possession, but priest type of stuff in there. But this one last seen in 2022. I think the first time was 2015. I believe was the first one recorded. The Gates of Hell also goes by the title, and I think it usually goes by the title, The City of the Living Dead, 1980. But I always use The Gates of Hell because it's just what I remember on the VHS that I rented. So, and then the last one that has had 3 views is a very unique one. It's about an hour, maybe 65-minute film. It's really strange, especially for 1963. It's called Blood Feast. This is a real interesting one. It's kind of got like a weird dark humor side to it, and this hasn't been viewed since I think 2021. I think was the last time, but we got to bring this one back. The rest are 2. So there's wow, it's like 14 movies with just 2 views. So Chopping Ball, 1986, is fun. Chopping Ball, so that's got some fun. Let me just check them up in here, guys. All right, looks good. So Chopping Ball and A Trilogy of Terror was one that was like back in 2015 or 16, and then with some of Darth's encouragement, I brought it back last year. It's another trilogy film, kind of like Scream Time. So that one, Karen Black, and I'm not a big fan of it. Won't be seeing this one coming back for a movie that has a popularity and a cult following. Not a big fan of it. Michael Jackson Thriller, 1983. I think it was the year the video came out. It could have been 82. That's when the song came out, but obviously everyone's familiar with the music video and kind of the making of Thriller. It's a really good watch. All right, and then the rest. Friday the 13th, the final chapter, 1984. You know what tomorrow is, guys? So this one, the possibility for tomorrow. This one's been seen twice. Another one that's been seen twice. The only other one that's been seen twice from that series. Friday the 13th, Part 7. The New Blood, 1988. This one was seen last year, and strangely enough, it's my second least favorite in the entire franchise, yet it's been viewed multiple times during Horrorfest. Could be because of the fall-like weather in the film that has something to do with it. Not many of these films have that fall-like weather to it. Part 6, maybe a little bit, even though it's summer. All right. City of the Walking Dead, 1980, another Italian film. This is one that Ace Leopard 99 saw in the theaters. And this is another reason that I use Gates of Hell for my preferred title, not to confuse City of the Living Dead with City of the Walking Dead. Similar titles and the exact same year, 1980, and this one is a fast-paced zombie film. I'm not a big fan of it. It's just it's real cheap, and it's Italian, and it's got some crazy running zombies, and Ace likes it. So, all right, move over here. So another good one is others that have multiple, just 2 views. Wolf Blood, 1925. Surprised I must have liked it to go back to it. Squirm, 1976. This is another one that can be probably preferably viewed in its original state. It is an MST3K film, but it's probably best to just go with the regular with this. Actually, the MST3K commentary isn't that great, but for this movie, but. This is a one that I'm surprised has only been seen twice. Strangler of the Swamp, 1946. Another one, went back to it. So multiple views. And then we got a few more. This one is The Bewitched Inn, 1897. The Bewitched Inn, a little trivia, was the first recorded Horrorfest film back in 2015, the first view on the first night, and then it came back a couple of years ago, I think 2022. He Knows You're Alone, 1980 slasher film, Halloween ripoff. It's been seen twice. Frankenstein, the 1910 version, has been seen twice. And Murders in the Zoo, 1933. I've seen that twice for some reason. And then Dracula, 1931. That one, Bela Lugosi, Darth, classic one right there. So a lot of films with just 2. We got 7 with 3. We got 1 Standing Alone with 4, and then 1 with 6, 2 with 8, and then the top one, 9 views. Probably will be 10. This year will make it 10. But if you look at the ones for just a little Horrorfest preview, I'll put a check next to ones that are likely be in this year's 21 Nights to Rock, starting on October the 11th. So a likely view will be will be Slumber Party Massacre, The Devil Walks at Midnight, Splatter University, Island of the Doomed. I've really got this one. I'll put a check. I'll put a question mark because like I'm thinking about it. And then I Was a Teenage Werewolf. Screen time just means it's in consideration. I'll put a almost on. This is like maybe, but probably not. A little line. I Was a Teenage Werewolf. It's probably an X. And then The Demon, you never know. The Demon, maybe question mark, Return of the Living Dead. X, Gates of Hell is, really want to bring that back, so I'm putting a yes next to it. A Blood Feast is always a possibility. And then Shopping Mall, I have to say no. On that Trilogy of Terror, no. Michael Jackson Thriller, it could possibly show up again. Friday the 13th, the final chapter. So Friday the 13th, there's one tomorrow night. I don't know. Friday the 13th are not popular in Horrorfest. There haven't been many views. Part 1 hasn't been watched. Part 2 hasn't been watched. Part 3 hasn't been watched. Part 5 was watched one time. These 2 were watched twice. That's pretty much it. Jason X Manhattan, Jason X, Jason Goes to Hell. None of them have been watched. I'm going to just go ahead and mark this as an X, as a no. And this one is a no. City of the Walking Dead. This is kind of intriguing. I'll put a question mark next to it. Wolf Blood. Probably not. Squirm. Maybe. Strangler of the Swamp. No. The Bewitched Inn on the 10-year anniversary. I think that might have to happen, guys. Put a big yes next to it. I think that might have to happen. This was the first one ever. You notice you're alone. I always consider this every year. I just never seem to get to it. Frankenstein. Maybe go with something different. So I'm going to say no. Murders in the Zoo. No. And then Dracula. It's a maybe. It's a classic. So one of those shorter ones, but yeah. All right, that's it, guys. We'll talk more about Horrorfest maybe in the days ahead, but that's just to give you a different look at the kind of the history of the recorded Horrorfest, and then to give you an idea of what likely come this year, but also like every year based on the multiple views. Okay, kind of give you an idea of what to expect and what you should watch as well. Okay, so that's Horrorfest coming up, 10-year anniversary. These are the multiple watchings right here. Take a look one more time, and I will say, be ready. It's coming soon, and I hope you're excited about it as I am. All right, guys. Have a good one.